It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to our 9th annual lecture series, Archaeological Discoveries in Israel. This lecture series is made possible by a generous grant from the Helen Diller Family Foundation, a supporting foundation of the Jewish Community Fund of San Francisco. I'd like to tell you a little about the Antiquity Authority. It is the preeminent organization in the field of Israeli and biblical archaeology. The IAA is responsible for all matters of archaeology in Israel. It's the custodian of all the national treasures, including nearly 2 million objects, among them 15,000 Dead Sea Scrolls and some 30,000 archaeological sites throughout Israel. The image on the screen, let me see if I can do this. Yeah, here we go. The image on the screen is a rendering of what will be the national campus for the archaeology of Israel, which we hope you will all come and visit. It is currently being built by the Israeli Antiquity Authority in Jerusalem. Designed by Moses Safdie, the campus will serve as the national center for the research, study, conservation, restoration, housing, curation, publication, just about everything you can think of, illumination of all the archaeological material excavated in Israel. And it'll be the first time that someone will be able to go to one place to study all of these great treasures. The other thing that I want to show you today is the future Lod Mosaic Center, which will house the mosaic that you have all, I hope, already seen or will see after the lecture, and which will be open to the public when it returns to Israel. We are fortunate today to have two speakers. Here's another idea of what you will see when we have this. Oh, wait, I've got the wrong one. Archaeological campus. This is the Lod Mosaic Center, sorry, which will open in about 2 years. And people will be able to see the Lod Mosaic reinstalled exactly where it was found. We are fortunate to have two speakers today, both the archaeologist and the conservator of this wonderful Lod Mosaic, which I was fortunate enough to see in 1996 when it was first discovered, and then it was reburied. It is now on view, as I said, in the Roman and Greek galleries of the Met Museum. Our first speaker is Jacques Neguer, who will speak about the Lod Mosaic from excavation to exhibition. Jacques Neguer is head of the Art Conservation Program for the Israel Antiquity Authority, specializing in the conservation particularly of mosaics and wall paintings. He received degrees in chemical engineering from the Polytechnic Institute of Sofia, Bulgaria, and worked in the National Institute for Cultural Monuments in Sofia. He came to the IAA in 1993. He teaches at the Technikon and is head of the Scientific Committee for Stone Conservation. Following his talk, we will hear from Miriam Avissar. She is the archaeologist who discovered and worked on the mosaic, and her talk is called The Lod Mosaic Floor and Its Menagerie, Roman Influence on Local Mosaic Art. Born in Germany, she moved to Israel in 1960, studied archaeology and history at the Hebrew University in Jerusalem, and excavated 10 years with noted Israeli archaeologist Professor Amin Ben-Tor, including places such as Tel Yonim and Beth Chan. She joined the Israel Antiquity Authority in 1992 and then excavated in Akka and Ramla and Jerusalem as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jacques Neguer. Thank you.
I will talk about the conservation and a little bit about the people who did this mosaic. Not exactly. The city of Lod exists from the Antiquities and changed the name many times. One of the names of this city is Theospolis or Diospolis, the city of God. But today, when we go there, this is a very poor city. Fortunately, in 1996, during salvage excavation, we find this beautiful mosaic. And possibly this mosaic will change also the economical future of this city. The excavation begins together with the conservation. The conservation team was on site from the first day, and cleaning, first aid conservation, and very precise documentation were done. But we didn't see the future of this site, and we decided to protect them, to rebury the site, and to wait the day when we can expose this in the proper way. In the same year, 96, we reburied the site, and the site remained like that until 2009, when, with the sponsorship of Shelby White and the Leon Levy Foundation, we uncovered the site, the mosaic, and we proceed to the cleaning, and you can see the entire mosaic here, and also to see only the small part exposed in the museum. Now we have a scope to clean the mosaic and to prepare the mosaic for lifting. Very difficult and dangerous operation, needing a lot of skills and also manpower. The mosaic was very carefully cleaned. Every stone of the mosaic was cleaned. In square meter, we have around 12,000 stones. We have millions of stones of this inside of this mosaic to clean. But everything was cleaned perfectly, documented, and everyone was possible to observe our work online. The video cameras on site translated 24 hours what happened in the site, and through the website of the Antiquities Authority was possible to observe what we are doing and to control us. This was very important also for the local population. Every sensitive material, we have here glass tessera, we have here golden glass tessera. Everything was treated properly before the lifting of the mosaic. And the lifting begins. We decide to cut the mosaic in 30 fragments. For so big mosaic, 200 square meters is not so much. But we didn't want it as well to cut through the composition and to have disturbed this beautiful mosaic. Now, the mosaic lifting begins with the gluing of fabric on the surface of the mosaic. After that began the very difficult operation to cut the mosaic, first of all, vertically between the lines of the panels, and after that to cut under the mosaic between the layers in order to be possible to detach the fragments. You see our craftsmen and our instruments, irons and hammers. Unfortunately, other instruments are not existing, and we work with them using in our work also a drummer roller in order to flip up the mosaic, to have the mosaic face down on wooden supports. In the movies, in the slides, this looks like a very easy operation, but it's not, because the mosaic is heavy and need a lot of attention to not disturb and to not destroy this fragile material. And when the fragments are big, and we have here 16 square meter fragment weighing 1 metric ton, this is quite difficult and dangerous. But in all this operation, we succeed with a lot of power and patience to arrive to the lifting of all the panels. You can see here the last operation, the unrolling of the panel from the roller on the wooden support. Now the panel is ready to be transferred to our laboratories. But not all the time was possible to use rollers. On this very long panel, was necessary to use other technique, the sandwich technique, to have from the both sides of the panel wooden platform and to flip up the panel to have them, after the cutting, upside down and again ready for transportation. Transportation manually in the big part of the time. We moved this mosaic many times, and we are already very strong people. After that comes the operation of cleaning the mortar from the backing of the mosaic. Again, it's necessary to do very carefully and manually. You see the site like a storage with all the 30 fragments ready for transportation, and begin another operation of movers moving heavy things, this time using cranes, but also flying with the mosaics over the walls of the Rockefeller Museum. Not many museums have the facilities to be possible to work with these huge mosaics and to let enter the mosaic inside. Again, this is a very long story of moving heavy things manually. We did this also here in New York. We are in the lab for the last cleaning, again, manually. And after the cleaning of the backing of the mosaic, you see the first repuzzling. The mosaic is recombined on the floor of the laboratory to be ready for the fabrication of new supports. And again, we have to play with heavy things, this time to put them together, to fix them together, and to be sure we didn't miss or didn't put something upside down, because after that is no way to change our mistakes. Now, we have for the first time the central part of the mosaic. And we begin to do the new supports, laying layer after layer, separation, lime mortar layer, epoxy layer, and the construction of the mosaic. For every fragment, one construction, aerolam panels with aluminum construction behind. And obviously, again, but I skip this, it's necessary to flip up again the mosaic in order to begin the cleaning of the surface. From the fabric, we have some happy moments in this time, and carefully to clean, finally, the surface of the mosaic, to fix everything together, to be ready for transportation, this time to the United States. Now, arriving to the mosaic, I want to turn back and to try to explain how we see the execution in the past of the mosaic. All our knowledge is based on the stratigraphy, the used materials, and the observed execution techniques. This means how the people are laying stone after stone to produce these beautiful pictures. According to our knowledge and observation, the first phase of the mosaic is the wall northern panel to the right side. This doesn't mean the other part, the down parts of the mosaic, were done in very big lap of time. But we are talking here, according again our calculations, the time to produce this mosaic was around 3 years. And inside of the 3 years, we can observe the different phases of execution of the mosaic. First of all, we have the northern panel with the fishes and the ships. We have the hunting scenes, but I will not explain what is here. I would like to explain how it's done. And the execution is extremely precise. Every stone is put in the precise geometrical place. Every color is used very carefully and in place. According to our opinion, here worked a great master of mosaics. You can see the execution, also how these animals are smiling to us, something extremely unusual, and how alive is all this. And in the same time, everything is put in place. There is no mistakes in the positions, there is no mistakes in the borders. Everything is perfectly calculated. We think in the south part of the mosaic, another master worked, also a very good master, but let's say less calculating the distances, putting the animals somewhere, but after that, because was a great artist, succeeding to combine everything. Not only that, succeeding to combine and to escape from the calculating mistakes in the corners, changing the shape of the pattern, and in the big picture, everything looks perfect. When you look in deep, you see only the difference, the other hand of the other master. And we have the third panel. According to us, this panel, in the middle of the composition, was executed at the end. Looks like inserted between the two big compositions. But again, the mosaic is laid on entire platform, and this platform was executed before the laying of these layers. Here we have another master working in other way and using, surprisingly, a golden glass tessera and a lot of glass tessera. Also, the layout of the tessera is not precise, is also artistic, but more rough, if I can use this word. The result is fantastic, beautiful, but again, this is another person, possibly working in team with others together, possibly some time after them, but in the same period of time. Now, how the mosaic is built? The classical way building mosaics is visible here. We have a layer of big stones called statumen, a layer of very strong mortar called rudus, a layer of mortar called nucleus. When on this mortar, sometime preparatory design was laid using sharp instruments or simply painting. And on this, on very thin layer of lime mortar, they laid the stone of the mosaic. What we have in Lod, we have perfectly arranged statumen, 2 layers of river stones and cut stones, perfectly leveled on this, the layer of the rudus, nucleus, and tessellatum, like in the book. And really, this mosaic is like a book. It's necessary only to open the book and to read. In the Antiquities, they cut the tessera in this way. Today, we do the same. This is Ostia, 2nd century AD, and today. In the Antiquities, we know from one edict of the Emperor Diocletianus, the team doing mosaics was built from head of team, Pictor Imaginarius. This guy was also the manager of the team, talking with the owner of the houses, deciding each pattern to use, what to be in the composition of the mosaic, and doing small project in scale. After that comes the very important person of the pictor, Parietarius. This person was a very skilled geometer, calculating the house, the floor, and doing a project 1-to-1 of the mosaic, and sometimes tracing on the mosaic mortar the lines guiding the mosaic. This person also called the workers doing mosaic, the calciscoctor, the person doing the line, the pavimentarius, mixing the mortar and applying the different level of mortar, and the tessellarius and pictor musearius, the people laying out the mosaic. Now, in Lod, the pictor Parietarius did an underpaint under the fish panel, and we find the trace of the painting, and we succeed as well to conserve the plaster with the traces of the paint. This is the exact position of the paint under the mosaic. In the long panel with the birds and the crater, the pictor periotarius traced with sharp instrument the moving line of the wine leaves to direct the length of the tessera. In the same time, lines, guiding lines, were incised in the fresh mortar to mark the guiding lines of length of the mosaic panels. And at the end, these are the people and the footprints of the mosaic masters on the fresh mortar during the execution of the mosaic. We have 43 number, this should be 11 American standard, and 36, I'm not sure what this should be, with sandals. But we have many footprints of the people going on the fresh mortar and working. And not only this, right side down, we have 4 digits of a man working on the mosaic. And we have the left side, the traces of the trowel on the fresh mortar. Again, this mosaic is like a book. We have inside everything is necessary only to read. During the last campaign, we rediscovered as well another mosaic. This mosaic was known from the excavation in '96, but this time we succeeded to get the entire picture. This means we have a complex with 2 huge mosaics and something more important. We have a complex with a mosaic from the late Roman period and a mosaic, this mosaic, from the early Byzantine period. As this means we have a very complicated life for the future, because we should try to expose this fantastic site to the public in the best possible way. This is the site with the mosaics, and we see this is a city, living city, with the roads, with the housing, with the poor people living in the surrounding, and we think with the building of a conservation center with activities explaining what is conservation, what's excavation, with activities for the children and the schools to change the future of this quarter or the entire city, and to give them not only the past, but also the future. But it's time for other things. Thank you for your attention.